Hi, my name is Elvira Lopez, and today I will be presenting the extensor hallucis longus muscle. For the origin and insertion, the extensor hallucis muscle originates from the middle 2/3 of the medial surface of the anterior fibula. So as you can see on this picture here, we have the fibula, and on the anterior surface, we have it 2/3 of the way down. We have the origin of the extensor longus muscle. The insertion of the extensor hallucis muscle is on the top of the base of the distal phalanx of the great toe. So as you can see here, distal phalanx of great toe, that is the insertion. Movements and muscle actions. So the muscle actions that the extensor hallucis longus muscle is responsible for is the ankle dorsiflexion. So dorsiflexion of the ankle. As you can see here in the middle, when we move our ankle towards our tibia, that is called dorsiflexion. Another action it is involved in is the extension of the great toe at the metatarsophalangeal and interphalangeal joints. So as you can see here, since it is responsible for the extension of the toes, you can see that it is extending the toes upwards. It is also responsible for weak inversion of the foot. As you can see right here on this right-hand side, the transverse tarsal and subtalar inversion, right here. The movements during dorsiflexion of the ankle, the extensor hallucis muscle contracts concentrically, and during extension of the great toe, the extensor hallucis muscle contracts eccentrically. So some daily uses of the extensor hallucis longus is walking up the stairs. Since it is responsible for extension of the big toe, it helps clear the step every time someone walks up a flight of stairs. So as you can see here, this man, even though he's not real, every time he picks up his toes to clear that next step when walking up the stairs. It's a little exaggerated here, but you can see that extension of toes to clear that step. As well as in walking on the right-hand side, that's also when we walk, we dorsiflex our ankle. As you saw in the previous before, it is responsible for dorsiflexion as well. So as you can see here, that first step she takes, moving the ankle upwards, that is what the extensor hallucis longus is responsible for. Some strengthening exercises. The extensor hallucis longus may be exercised by attempting to walk on the heels with the ankle flexed dorsally and toes extended. So as you can see here in this first little GIF, I stand on my heels, extend my toes, and I walk. As you can see, my ankle is dorsally flexed, and that is what helps it strengthen. An easier way of doing this exercise is just to stand on 2 feet, stand on your heels, extend your toes, and just flex your foot upwards, dorsiflex your foot. Hold it for 3 seconds, and that will strengthen your extensor hallucis longus. Now to make that exercise harder, all you have to do is stand on 1 foot, as you can see here as well. Same movement, standing on the heel, dorsally flexing the foot, and extending my toes. It's pretty hard, not gonna lie. I was holding onto the wall. And that was my progression exercise. Another strengthening exercise is toe curls. For the setup of this exercise, you're just gonna sit straight up in the chair with feet flat on the floor. To make the easier version of this exercise is to lay a small towel on the floor in front of the body with the short side facing the feet. And then you're going to place one of the toes on the short side of the towel and try to grasp the towel with toes and pull it towards oneself. As you can see here, her foot is on the short side of the towel, and she is grasping the towel with her toes, pulling it towards her to create that motion. A harder version of that exercise is to, instead of having a towel on the floor, you're going to have something of a smaller object. Here she has some sockets for wrenches. So she is just grasping that small item with her toes and moving it towards herself one more time. You can also use a bowl of marbles. So you can put some marbles out on the ground and then pick up the marbles with your feet, with your toes, and just move it back over to the bowl. Some stretching exercises is a shin stretch. So for the shin stretch, you are going to kneel on the floor on both the knees with the shins flat on the ground and toes and feet pointing back. So as you can see here, this is the position you're going to be in. And a lot of times, if you're really tight, you will feel the stretch in this position. But if not, or if you don't feel it, or if it's too painful in that position, you can alleviate that pain by putting a towel under the ankle or under your gluteus maximus so it won't be as harsh. A harder way of doing this exercise is to kneel with your shins, same setup, and then you're gonna place your hands behind and you're gonna lean backwards. While keeping your knees and heels together, you're going to raise your knees off the ground and hold it there. And I'm going to show you a video of how that's done. So she will be sitting down. She will be getting into this position. She's going to be sitting on her heels. And then she's going to put her hands behind her back. She's going to lean back. And she is going to lift her knees off the ground. As you can see there, you are going to feel the stretch in your upper feet and your extensor hallucis longus muscle. And that is a pretty difficult position to be holding. Okay. Another stretching exercise is the standing shin stretch. So for this, you're going to be standing facing the wall, a few feet away, placing hands on the wall. You're going to have one foot back a few feet and place the top of the foot to the floor, and your toenails will be on the floor for this stretch. So as we can see here, for the easier type of stretch right here that we see, with the top of the foot on the floor, bend the knee slightly. And then we're going to lower the right knee towards the floor just a little bit. As you can see here, it is bent. And then we're going to press the top of the foot onto the floor. A harder exercise for this is we're going to be in the same position, but this time we're going to have our legs straighten out with the toes on the floor as well. And then we're going to lean as far as back until fingertips are just touching the wall, as you can see here. And that will create the stretch. Some possible injuries for the extensor hallucis muscle is effective tightness. Tightness of the extensor hallucis longus pulls the metatarsophalangeal joint of the great toe into extension, which, as in the fingers and thumb, tends to produce flexion at the interphalangeal joint as the flexor hallucis longus is stretched and a clawed toe deformity emerges. Another possible injury is hyperextension. Hyperextension of the great toe pulls the plantar plate distally, exposing the metatarsal head to excessive loads and producing pain. Similarly, hyperextension of the metatarsophalangeal joint pulls the interphalangeal joint into the toe box of a shoe, causing pain and calluses or corns on the dorsal surfaces of the interphalangeal joint. Thank you for watching my presentation.